Starting on Saturday, August 17, 2024, we have one of the most significant set of changes taking place in the buying and selling of real estate in decades. And here in Georgia, y'all, this is a big old nothing burger. If you've heard anything about this whole commission thing in the past few months, most of what you've heard is probably blown way out of proportion. It's gonna be fine. We are not going to go to hell in a handbasket. Here's what's going on in a nutshell. Number one, listing agents can no longer share what the seller may be paying a buyer agent in terms of compensation in our multiple listing system. It doesn't mean that a seller cannot or will not pay a buyer agent compensation from their proceeds at closing. We, the listing agents, just can't put it in the MLS anymore. Some of the misinformation and confusion in the marketplace has resulted in many people thinking that sellers simply aren't going to be paying the buyer agent compensation any longer. Sellers choose not to compensate the buyer's agent. That means the buyer will have to bring even more cash to the closing table to pay their agent directly, which, let's be real, most people can't afford to pay directly on top of their down payment and closing costs. So let's be clear. Sellers can continue to pay the buyer agent's compensation, and more than likely, we're going to see that many still will. Number two, before a real estate agent shows you a property that's for sale, and that's not their listing or their team's listing, they're going to need to have you sign a written agreement with them which outlines the rules of engagement for working with each other and how that agent is going to be compensated for doing their job. This is probably nothing new to most of you here in Georgia because we've been one of the most progressive states in the nation when it comes to having buyer brokerage representation at all. We've had that for nearly 4 decades now. If you've bought a house here in the last 30 or 40 years in Georgia and you worked with a real estate agent who represented you in doing that, you signed a buyer brokerage agreement. You might be surprised to learn that only 18 other states in the US have full buyer representation. To be honest, this change is really putting a fire under licensed agents in all the other states to catch up where we have been all along here in Georgia. So, when you really look at this whole thing, here in Georgia, the changes taking place this weekend in the real estate industry are mostly on us licensed professionals. The everyday buyer and seller should not be that concerned.